Welcome, deep divers. What if everything you've ever been told about getting rich was just, well, one piece of a much larger, more fascinating puzzle?
Hmm,
What if the path to abundance wasn't actually about fierce competition, but maybe about radical generosity?
right.
And what if your deepest desires for a richer life were actually a profound signal from the universe itself, almost like an invitation to a different way of living and creating?
That's a powerful way to frame it.
Today, we're going to dive into a set of ideas that promise to not just challenge conventional wisdom about wealth, but maybe completely reshape how you think about earning, giving, and even how you perceive value in your own life and in the world around you.
That's exactly right. Our
Okay.
mission for this deep dive is really to go beyond the surface level.
Yeah.
We want to uncover insights into how true riches flow, focusing on principles that might, at first glance, seem pretty counterintuitive to the prevailing narratives about success and, well, accumulation.
Totally counterintuitive sometimes.
Yeah, we're looking for those aha moments,
Yeah.
connecting these profound concepts directly to your own aspirations and daily interactions, helping you gain a truly deep understanding quickly and hopefully thoroughly.
Okay.
So get ready to explore some profound shifts in perspective that could unlock entirely new possibilities for an abundant existence, not just for you, but for everyone your life touches.
Huh.
Okay, let's unpack this and begin our exploration.
Absolutely. And to truly understand this, I think we need to begin with perhaps the most surprising and maybe radical concept of all. This idea that true wealth creation doesn't start with taking or even just trading fairly, but with consciously and intentionally giving more.
Exactly. That's the starting point.
Which, I mean, that challenges the very foundation of how many of us have been taught to approach transactions, whether it's in business, relationships, or even our personal development.
It really does. The core principle we're immersing ourselves in today is that genuine wealth isn't born from, you know, driving those sharp bargains or trying to get something for nothing or even just seeking a perfectly equal exchange. In fact, it's quite the opposite.
Right.
It's about consciously and intentionally giving more in what the source material calls use value than you take in cash value in every single interaction. This is a fundamental shift in mindset,
Yeah.
a really big one.
Okay, use value versus cash value. Now, this is a distinction many of our listeners who are, seasoned in the world of commerce and economics, they might find this intriguing. We're all familiar with market prices, the bottom line. How do these two concepts, use value and cash value, typically intersect or maybe diverge in the business world our listeners navigate every day? Because for most people, I think, the immediate thought is purely about the money exchanged.
That's precisely where the conventional viewpoint lies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's make this distinction absolutely clear. Cash market value, that's the immediate, tangible transactional price. It's the dollar amount, the finite figure you see on a receipt or an invoice or, a stock ticker. It's often negotiable, it's subject to market forces, and it focuses squarely on the present exchange of goods or services for money. It's what economists might quantify as the fair market price at any given moment, and it often drives that competitive behavior we see everywhere.
So if I purchase, say, a software subscription for $50 a month, that $50 is the cash value. Pretty straightforward.
Precisely, yep. Now, use value is profoundly different and, well, infinitely more expansive, potentially. It's the long-term benefit, the impact, the utility, the joy, the enhancement, or the transformation a thing brings to someone's life.
Okay.
It's about future potential, the subjective experience of the recipient, and what a product or service enables them to do or become. Crucially, the use value can be far, far greater, even immeasurable, compared to the initial cash value.
Wow.
It's not just what something is, it's what it does for you, how it changes your circumstances, or what capabilities it actually unlocks.
This distinction sounds incredibly important. So, beyond just the definition, why does shifting our focus from cash value to use value matter so profoundly for someone genuinely seeking to create lasting wealth, not just for themselves, but, for the people around them too?
Because most conventional business thinking, unfortunately, is almost exclusively fixated on cash value.
Right. The bottom line.
Exactly, bottom line. And this often leads to a competitive, sometimes even a zero-sum mindset. Businesses might focus on minimizing costs, maximizing immediate profit margins, or outmaneuvering competitors on price, often with, frankly, little deep consideration for the long-term, life-enhancing benefit to the other party.
Mm-hmm.
This approach fosters a scarcity mentality. Shifting your focus to use value, however, immediately opens up an abundance paradigm. It moves you from a mindset of scarcity and competition, battling for a fixed slice of the pie, to one of creation, mutual enrichment, and expanding the entire pie. It's about genuinely adding to the life of the world.
I think I'm starting to grasp the profound implications here. Could you give us an example, maybe something relatable, that really brings this concept home for our listeners? I'm thinking about something as fundamental as, say, a book, like maybe the very source material we're drawing from today.
That's a perfect illustration, actually.
Mm.
Consider this insight directly from the source. The paper, ink, and other material in this book may not be worth the money you paid for it, but if the ideas suggested by it bring you thousands of dollars, you have not been wronged by those who sold it to you. They have given you a great use value for a small cash value.
Wow.
This encapsulates the principle perfectly. The physical components of a book, the paper, the ink, they have a clear, quantifiable cash value. It might only be a few dollars.
Right.
But the wisdom, the inspiration, the knowledge, the paradigm shifts that book can create in your life, those constitute its use value. And they can be utterly immeasurable. Thousands, maybe millions of dollars, or just a completely changed life.
Wow. That makes so much sense. I mean, think about it, listeners. How often have we ourselves invested in a course, maybe a tool, a piece of art, or even just a transformative experience where the actual monetary costs, the cash value, felt, well, trivial compared to the profound knowledge we gained, or the skill we unlocked, or the sheer joy, or the inspired direction it provided? For me, sometimes it's been a single insightful conversation or like an educational seminar. The initial fee might have felt significant at the time, but the clarity or the new perspective it unlocked has been absolutely invaluable to my career trajectory later on.
Absolutely. That's use value in action.
What examples come to mind for you out there listening? Where have you received immense use value for a relatively small cash outlay? It's a powerful reflection to consider, isn't it?
It really is.
So the key insight here is true wealth creation isn't just about monetary gain for you. It's about the tangible, life-enhancing benefit you provide to the other person, often far exceeding the cash value exchanged.
And we can take this idea to an extreme almost to really highlight the ethical implications and the moral imperative inherent in this principle. Imagine this scenario from the text. Let's say I own a painting by a renowned artist, something worth thousands of dollars in a, culturally appreciative community.
Okay.
I travel to a remote region, say Baffin Bay, and through some really convincing salesmanship, perhaps, I induce an Eskimo to trade a bundle of furs, maybe worth $500 in market value, for this painting.
Okay, so from a purely transactional cash market value perspective, I, the seller, just acquired $500 worth of furs for a painting worth thousands. On the surface, that sounds like a remarkably good deal for me, right? A profitable exchange by conventional standards.
On the surface, yes, it appears to be a good deal in terms of immediate market value. But the principle we're discussing states this very clearly. I have really wronged him, for he has no use for the picture. It has no use value to him. It will not add to his life. Despite the seemingly advantageous trade for the seller in terms of market value, it's ethically flawed, deeply flawed. The recipient gains no practical benefit, no life enhancement, no utility whatsoever. It's merely a transfer of goods without any meaningful exchange of life enhancement or utility. It's a transaction, sure, but it's not value creation. It might even be value destruction in a way.
That's a powerful distinction. It brings a really strong ethical dimension to every single exchange. It's not just about the numbers on a ledger, it's about the real-world impact on another individual's life, isn't it?
Precisely.
So in that context, what would be an ethical and genuinely wealth-creating exchange? How could that same scenario be done differently?
Well, let's completely flip the scenario. Suppose instead of that expensive painting, I give the same Eskimo a rifle worth, say, $50 for those same furs.
Okay, a $50 rifle for $500 worth of furs.
Right. In this instance, the source asserts he has use for the gun. It will get him many more furs and much food. It will add to his life in every way. It will make him rich.
Now that's a whole different story. The cash value of the rifle is significantly lower, just $50 compared to the $500 worth of furs. But the use value for the Eskimo is exponentially higher.
Exactly.
The gun empowers him with a new, much more efficient means to hunt. It provides food, enhances his security, enables him to generate more furs and therefore more wealth within his own context. It makes him richer in a practical, life-sustaining, and expanding way. This truly feels like the essence of genuine value exchange. It's clearly a win for him, and because he's more productive, it's likely a win for his community and ultimately, as the source implies, a win for the universe, contributing to more life.
Precisely. It's about empowering the other person, enabling them to lead a more abundant, productive, and secure life through your exchange. This radically shifts the entire dynamic from a transaction where one person might win and another lose, or even just a neutral, equal exchange, to one where both parties are genuinely enriched, and often disproportionately in the recipient's favor when it comes to the use value. It's a generative act, not just a transactional one.
So for you listening, take a moment to reflect again. In your own purchases, or perhaps more importantly, the services and products you provide, are you primarily focused on the immediate cash transaction? Or are you deeply considering the profound life-enhancing benefit and utility you're receiving, or even more crucially, offering? That's a fundamental question this concept forces us to ask ourselves, isn't it?
It really is.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just about individual transactions. It's a philosophy that can fundamentally transform how we approach entire businesses, moving from simply existing to actively contributing to the world.
Absolutely. This principle scales up beautifully from individual exchanges to entire business models and, yes, entire industries.
Yeah.
The idea is that when you rise from the competitive to the creative plane, you can, and indeed should, strictly scan all your business transactions.
Strictly scan them. Okay.
Yes. The instruction from the source is quite radical and, well, uncompromising. If you are selling any man anything which does not add more to his life than the thing he gives you in exchange, you can afford to stop it.
Wow, you can afford to stop it. Not just you should, but you can afford to. That implies it's actually beneficial to stop.
It implies it's ultimately more profitable, in the truest sense, to stop. And it goes even further, almost daringly. If you are in a business which does beat people, get out of it at once.
Get out of it at once. That's an incredibly strong statement, not a suggestion. It implies a moral urgency, doesn't it?
It does. A deep ethical command.
So let's elaborate on this concept of planes. What defines the distinction between the competitive plane and the creative plane in business? Because that sounds like a fundamental choice we all make, maybe without even realizing it.
It is a fundamental choice, and it dictates your entire approach, your strategy, your mindset. The competitive plane is characterized by a scarcity mindset. It views business essentially as a zero-sum game.
Right, winner takes all, or most.
Exactly. One person's gain must inherently be another's loss. The focus here is on beating competitors, or extracting maximum profit regardless of the mutual benefit or the long-term impact on others. It's about market share, cutting costs, often a race to the bottom on price, and the goal is simply to outperform or outmaneuver rivals in what's seen as a fixed arena. Think of industries where commoditization is rampant, and every minor advantage is fiercely fought for, often at the expense of genuine innovation or, frankly, customer well-being.
Which, let's be honest, sounds like a lot of what we're taught in traditional business models. Disrupt the market, crush the competition, dominate your niche. It's all very battle-oriented language, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Military metaphors abound. Now, in stark contrast, the creative plane is characterized by an abundance mindset. It focuses on generating new value, fostering mutual growth, and creating win-win outcomes that didn't exist before.
Expanding the pie, not just fighting over slices.
Precisely. Expanding the whole pie. The goal here isn't just to make a profit, though. Profitability is often a natural outcome, sometimes a very significant one, but to genuinely add to the life of the world through every single transaction and interaction. It's about innovating, collaborating, finding new ways to create value for everyone involved, looking for synergies where one person's success inherently contributes to another's.
Okay.
Think of companies that focus on truly solving deep problems for customers, even if it means a higher price point, because the value they deliver, the use value, far exceeds that cash cost. They're not just selling a product, they're selling a better quality of life or a higher capability or more freedom.
So the implications of this shift are really profound. To be told to get out of it at once,
So,
if your business inherently beats people, that implies a deep ethical commitment, a profound moral compass guiding your entire enterprise, way beyond just legal compliance or ticking boxes. What kind of businesses, in this specific context, would fall into that category of beating people? Can you give us some more diverse examples beyond, say, the obvious one like predatory lending?
Certainly. Beyond the obvious ones, consider businesses built on, say, planned obsolescence, where products are intentionally designed to fail quickly, forcing repeat purchases. That's effectively extracting more cash value over time than the true use value they provide.
Right, like electronics that just stop working after the warranty expired.
Exactly. Or think about some models in fast fashion, which often rely on exploiting labor and resources to offer fleeting trends with minimal durability. Again, diminishing the long-term use value for consumers and often having a negative impact on environmental well-being.
Mhm.
Even certain marketing tactics, those that rely on manipulation or creating false scarcity or exploiting people's insecurities rather than genuinely informing and serving the customer, those would fall into the beating people category from this perspective.
So the common thread is taking more from the collective life, whether financially, environmentally, emotionally, than they genuinely contribute back.
That's a very good summary. Yes,
Mhm.
they diminish life rather than enhance it.
And what does this mean for the long-term sustainability and reputation of businesses? Because it feels intuitively like if you're consistently beating people, that's probably not a sustainable model in the long run anyway, is it?
Probably not.
It might generate short-term gains, sure, but it surely erodes trust, builds resentment, and ultimately limits your own potential for growth as people, catch on or just feel the negative effects.
It absolutely does. A business built on genuinely adding value and enhancing life, operating on that creative plane, builds immense goodwill.
Mm.
It builds customer loyalty, a strong, positive reputation that can sustain it through challenges and help it grow organically, sometimes exponentially. It creates a virtuous cycle. Conversely, businesses stuck on the competitive plane, focused on extraction, often face constant legal battles, public backlash, high employee turnover, and ultimately often a limited lifespan, because their foundation isn't built on the principle of continuous life enhancement. It's a completely different foundational philosophy for longevity and genuine, lasting success. To
Mhm.
truly rise, you have to move beyond battling for a slice of the existing pie to creating an entirely new, bigger pie where everyone involved can thrive. That's the essence of the creative plane.
So for you listening, maybe take a moment here. How challenging would it be to make such a shift in your own business or career? What would it require? Maybe in terms of courage or vision, or perhaps even accepting a temporary dip in immediate profit for that long-term ethical abundance. It's a really deep question about fundamental priorities and, frankly, the kind of legacy you want to build.
And this principle, this idea of adding to the life of the world, it isn't just external, impacting your customers and the broader society. It applies just as profoundly, maybe even more so, to how we treat those within our own organizations. It's an internal ethic as much as an external one.
That's a critical point. Many businesses, even those that provide great external value, sometimes really struggle with how they treat their own internal team. You see that disconnect sometimes between the outward-facing mission and the internal reality for employees.
That's a very perceptive observation,
Huh.
and the source material directly addresses this. It acknowledges a practical reality. While an employer must take from them more in cash value than you pay them in wages. I mean, that surplus is precisely how a business sustains itself, how it innovates, expands, and continues operations. The crucial, often overlooked point is that You can so organize your business that it will be filled with the principle of advancement.
The principle of advancement. Okay.
Yes, becoming a kind of ladder by which every employee who wishes to do so may climb to riches himself.
So it's about going way beyond just paying a fair wage, which is, of course, foundational, absolutely critical.
Essential, yeah.
But it's about building an entire system, an entire culture that actively fosters genuine growth for your people, rather than just, extracting their labor for the lowest possible cost.
Exactly.
What does that principle of advancement actually look like in practice then, beyond just a paycheck or a standard benefits package?
Well, it's about fostering an environment of continuous growth, learning, and genuine upward mobility. Think of it not just as investing in human capital, which sounds a bit transactional,
Hmm.
but actively cultivating human potential.
Okay, I like that framing.
This could involve formalized mentorship programs, pairing experienced leaders with emerging talent. It could mean providing robust access to skill development and continuous learning opportunities, whether through courses, workshops, conferences, or even just strong internal knowledge-sharing initiatives.
Hmm.
It might mean having clearly defined paths for promotion and career progression, so employees can actually visualize their future within the company.
Hmm.
Or perhaps implementing things like profit sharing or even employee ownership options, genuinely aligning employee success with the company's success.
Right.
Ultimately, it's about creating a culture that truly rewards initiative, innovation, learning, and personal development. By doing that, you empower employees to increase their own use, value their skills, their knowledge, their capabilities, and consequently their earning potential, both within your company and potentially beyond.
I love that latter analogy from the source. It's so visual. And the line, you can make your business do for your employees what this book is doing for you. That directly connects the personal growth and insight we're discussing from these ideas to the potential for growth offered by a consciously structured business. It transforms the business itself into a vehicle for individual enrichment and upward movement, not just a place to clock in and out.
It's a powerful metaphor, isn't it? And it carries with it a significant nuance regarding responsibility, which is important. The text states, "And given the opportunity, if he will not do so, it is not your fault."
Ah, okay. That's interesting.
This is crucial. It places the emphasis squarely on the employer's role in providing the opportunity, in cultivating the environment for growth, essentially,
Mm.
building a sturdy, accessible ladder. But it also acknowledges individual agency and responsibility.
Right. The employee has to choose to climb.
Exactly. It balances the employer's vital role in creating the conditions for advancement with the employee's role in choosing to seize those opportunities and exert the effort required to climb. Not everyone will choose to climb every ladder placed before them, and that's not necessarily a reflection on the provision of the opportunity itself. It respects individual free will within a supportive structure.
This sounds like such a powerful way to foster not just loyalty, which is valuable, but deeper engagement, more innovation, and overall higher productivity within a company. I mean, if your employees feel genuinely supported in their growth, like the company is invested in them as people, they're much more likely to be invested, creative, and committed to the shared vision, aren't they?
Absolutely. It fosters a sense of partnership rather than just employment.
And what kind of societal impact could it have if more businesses actually focused on creating these ladders for all their employees, not just, a select few destined for the top? It feels like it could lift entire communities, creating a ripple effect far beyond the company walls.
It could indeed be transformative for society.
Hmm.
It shifts the entire paradigm from simply employing people to actively advancing them. This fosters a broader base of skilled, capable, and increasingly affluent individuals within a community. This, in turn, strengthens local economies. It drives further innovation because you have more capable people thinking creatively, and it cultivates a more engaged and empowered populace overall. It's about recognizing that a truly rich society isn't just one with a few wealthy individuals, but one where opportunities for advancement are broadly accessible, and businesses see themselves as playing a key role in creating those opportunities.
So we've talked about tangible value, ethical exchange, even building businesses that elevate their people. These are all about how we interact in the physical world, the external actions. But what if the creation of riches begins in an even more fundamental, less visible place, the power of your own mind? This leads us into our next segment, which might challenge some deeply held assumptions about how things actually come into being.
Indeed. It's a profound shift, moving from the external mechanisms of value exchange to the internal foundational mechanisms of creation itself, a different level entirely.
Okay, so we're moving from the nuts and bolts of transactions and business structures to something far more ethereal, but according to this source, just as powerful, if not maybe more so. This idea that riches are not merely wished into existence or expected to, quote, take shape from the atmosphere. That sounds like a dismissal of just passive hoping, right?
Very much so. It's not about passive wishing.
So what does that mean? How do we actually create something seemingly from nothing, if not through magic or just wishing really hard?
It means that while the manifestation, the actual result certainly occurs in the physical world, the initial blueprint, the very genesis, is mental. If you want something concrete, let's stick with the example from the text, the sewing machine. The source isn't suggesting it will magically appear out of thin air in your room, defying all known physical laws.
Right, okay. Good to clarify.
Yes. Instead, you must hold the mental image of it with the most positive certainty that it is being made or is on its way to you. The key here, beyond just picturing it, is absolute and unquestioning faith. Claim it as already yours. This is not passive wishing at all. It's active mental creation coupled with unwavering conviction.
Okay, this sounds a lot like concepts like positive thinking or manifestation that we hear about quite a bit, which can sometimes feel a bit, well, vague or maybe even a bit woo-woo for some people. Can we unpack what the source refers to as formless substance or thinking substance and how this mental image actually interacts with it? What's the mechanism?
Absolutely. And it's crucial to understand this. When the source refers to formless substance, it implies a universal, intelligent, creative energy or consciousness that permeates absolutely everything. It's not empty space or a void, but rather the raw, undifferentiated, unformed potential from which all things are made.
Okay, so like a field of infinite possibility.
Exactly. An infinitely receptive and intelligent medium. Later, when it uses the term thinking substance, it's referring to that same universal, intelligent, formless substance, the raw material of creation, but emphasizing its active, conscious, and responsive nature. It thinks. It responds to thought.
So it's not just nothingness or inert potential, but rather a fundamental, intelligent field, alive with potential, capable of responding to our thoughts. That clarifies the terminology quite a bit.
Precisely. It's an active, conscious field.
And the mental image, how does that work as a blueprint? Is it just daydreaming?
No, definitely not just daydreaming. The mental image isn't just a vague desire or a fleeting thought like, idly wishing for a new car while stuck in traffic. It's a clear, focused, vivid, and highly detailed mental blueprint of what you desire.
Like an architect's plans.
It's exactly like an architect's plans. Precise renderings, meticulously impressed upon this thinking substance. This precision and vividness are crucial. It's the difference between vaguely saying, I want to be rich, and having a crystal clear, sensory-rich vision of what your rich life looks like, feels like, sounds like, and contains. Down to the details, the ideal home, the nature of your work, your relationships, the experiences you'll have.
And this absolute and unquestioning faith. That seems like the hardest part for many people, myself included sometimes. How do you cultivate that level of certainty, especially when your current reality might look very different?
That is often the biggest hurdle. Absolute and unquestioning faith means an unwavering conviction, a complete absence of doubt, a profound inner knowing. It means speaking and thinking of your desired object or outcome as being sure to arrive as an inevitable result already in process. Claim it as already yours. Signifies a profound shift in your internal state, your core belief. You move from wanting or hoping to owning that desired reality in your mind right now.
Yeah.
It's a state of certainty, not just fragile, optimistic hoping. It's about fully trusting the process once you've clearly set the intention. like planting a seed and trusting nature will bring forth the plant without digging it up every single day to check if it's growing.
That's a great analogy. The sewing machine example from the text really grounds this concept for me, showing it's not about magic tricks. If you want a sewing machine, I do not mean to tell you that you are to impress the thought of a sewing machine on thinking substance until the machine is formed without hands, in the room where you sit, or elsewhere. That's key. It's not passive conjuration.
No, it's not.
So how does this differ fundamentally from just simple positive thinking or, wishful thinking? It sounds like it implies a deeper, more active engagement with a universal creative force rather than just maintaining an optimistic outlook.
It differs fundamentally because it involves an active partnership with this thinking substance. Positive thinking might simply be maintaining an optimistic outlook about general outcomes, which is good, but not the same. This, however, is about a deliberate, precise act of mental creation, forming that specific blueprint, coupled with an unwavering belief that activates a universal intelligence.
Activates it. Okay.
Yes. It's not a solitary act of wishing into the void. This mental blueprint, held with faith, activates a universal intelligence that then works through a network of influences, primarily through human connections and existing systems, to bring it into physical form.
Okay, so the universe isn't just going to beam a sewing machine into my living room from thin air. Phew. How does this thinking substance actually work in the physical world then to bring about what I desire? How does it connect the dots between my mental image and the physical reality?
It's a truly fascinating and, well, elegant mechanism described here. The desired object will be brought to you by the power of the supreme intelligence acting upon the minds of men. So it works through people.
Acting upon the minds of men.
Yes. And what's truly crucial here, and this directly addresses any potential concerns about selfishness or taking from others, is that this process inherently ensures mutual advantage. The source is very clear. If, for example, a man is brought from Texas or Japan to engage in some transaction which will result in your getting what you want, then the whole matter will be as much to that man's advantage as it is to yours. It's designed to be a harmonious orchestration.
That's a significant point. It's not about cosmic manipulation or one person gaining unfairly at another's expense. It's described as a system designed to create mutually beneficial win-win scenarios. That feels much more ethical and sustainable.
It does.
But how does this universal intelligence manage to align so many disparate interests across potentially vast distances? That sounds incredibly complex.
This is where the concept of interconnectedness becomes absolutely vital. The source reminds us, do not forget for a moment that the thinking substance is through all, in all, communicating with all, and can influence all.
Wow. Through all, in all, communicating with all.
Yes. This highlights a profound, intelligent, universal web of consciousness that facilitates the manifestation process. It's like a network of mind influencing mind, subtly guiding events, aligning circumstances. It's as if your precise mental blueprint, impressed upon this thinking substance with faith, activates a cascade of events. It subtly influences human minds in ways that are ultimately beneficial to everyone involved in the chain, ensuring a grander, more harmonious outcome than simple zero-sum competition could ever achieve.
So it's not some sort of cosmic puppet master pulling strings against people's will, but rather a perfect, subtle alignment of interests and opportunities orchestrated by an omnipresent intelligence.
That's the idea, an orchestration, not manipulation.
Thinking about the global nature of trade, innovation, and human connection today, it makes you wonder, how many seemingly random connections or serendipitous meetings or unforeseen opportunities could actually be part of this larger intelligent orchestration? I mean, have you ever had a time, listener, where a complex problem found a solution that just appeared out of nowhere? Or a key person came into your life at the absolute perfect moment, almost like a divinely timed coincidence?
Mm-hmm. We've all had those moments.
Would this be the supreme intelligence at work, aligning things for mutual benefit, responding perhaps to a clear mental image someone held?
It's certainly a compelling way to interpret those moments, isn't it? Moving them beyond mere coincidence or luck to intelligent design and action. From this perspective, there are no true coincidences in the creative process when you're aligned. Everything is part of an orchestrated flow. And this perspective completely changes our view of competition, doesn't it? If the universe inherently ensures mutual advantage in this creative process, does true destructive competition even exist on the creative plane? Or is it merely a product of a limited perception, a belief in scarcity, forcing us onto that lower competitive plane?
Mm.
It suggests that if you're genuinely operating from the creative plane, you're not competing for a fixed pie. You're actively engaged with the universe in expanding it for everyone.
That's a truly profound thought. And it ties back beautifully to our first segment about moving beyond the competitive plane in business and life. So this brings us to a mind-bending question, maybe the most philosophical one yet. Why? Why does this thinking substance, this universal intelligence, want us to have what we desire? What's the deeper purpose behind this innate urge for creation and abundance beyond just our personal gratification? Is there some kind of cosmic agenda at play?
This is where the core philosophy truly blossoms, I think, and transcends mere self-help or manifestation techniques. Your desire isn't just yours. It's an echo, a fragment of a universal fundamental impulse. The source states it very clearly. The desire of thinking substance for fuller life and better living has caused the creation of all the sewing machines already made, and it can cause the creation of millions more, and will, whenever men set it in motion by desire and faith and by acting in a certain way.
So human desire, our deep yearning for more, isn't primarily personal greed or selfishness, but a localized expression of a universal impulse for expansion, for evolution, for greater experience. That's a huge reframe of ambition and desire itself.
Exactly. It's a universal impulse for growth, for evolution, for greater and fuller experience, manifesting through us. Your desire for a better life, for more resources, for personal advancement, for the ability to contribute more. These are not inherently selfish, according to this view. They are part of a larger cosmic desire for fuller life. It's the universe itself wanting to experience more, grow more, express more through you as a unique individual vessel. Your desire is a fragment of the infinite's desire wanting to take form.
And you mentioned acting in a certain way again there. While the source doesn't fully elaborate on all aspects of it in this particular chapter, what might that implicitly involve? It definitely sounds like it's more than just sitting around and thinking happy thoughts. It requires engagement with the world, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You're completely right. It's not passive waiting. It's inspired, aligned action. Acting in a certain way would implicitly involve several key things we've already touched upon. First, aligning your physical actions with your mental image, doing the things today that move you towards that vision. Second, maintaining that unwavering faith, especially when things seem slow or challenging. Third, being keenly open and receptive to the opportunities that arise, recognizing them as part of the process. And crucially, continuing to provide more in use value than you receive in cash value in all your interactions, as we discussed extensively in segment 1.
Right, it all ties together.
It does. It's about being an active, co-creative participant in the manifestation process, not just a passive observer waiting for delivery. You become a conscious conduit for this universal impulse, embodying the change and the abundance you wish to see.
And the sense of empowerment in this understanding is just incredible. The source reassures us you can certainly have a sewing machine in your house, and it is just as certain that you can have any other thing or things which you want and which you will use for the advancement of your own life and the lives of others. This reinforces the accessibility of this power, not just for personal gain, but explicitly for personal and collective good, which ties back to the mutual benefit idea.
Yes.
So, what specific desires do you hold, listener, that you genuinely believe would advance your life and simultaneously contribute positively to the lives of others? Could these deep-seated desires actually be echoes of this universal urge for more life bubbling up within you, seeking expression?
It's a question that invites profound introspection, doesn't it? And a reevaluation of our deepest ambitions. And this leads us naturally to an even deeper, almost spiritual connection to our desires, challenging many traditional notions about wealth, poverty, and our place in the grand scheme of things. It brings a divine perspective to our everyday yearnings.
Okay, so if our desires are this universal impulse for greater life and expression, then our personal desire for riches, for abundance in all forms, isn't just personal ambition. It's something far grander, far more significant. Tell us more about this idea of our desire for riches as a divine impulse, because this really does challenge a lot of ingrained cultural and even religious belief that many of us grew up with. The idea that wanting wealth is somehow wrong or unspiritual.
It absolutely does, and it's perhaps one of the most liberating insights in the whole framework. The source boldly states, "You need not hesitate about asking largely. It is your Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom," said Jesus.
Wow. Quoting Jesus directly there.
Yes, and profoundly he continues. Original substance wants to live all that is possible in you and wants you to have all that you can or will use for the living of the most abundant life. This isn't just giving permission to desire, it's framing desire itself, abundant desire, as aligned with the divine will.
That directly confronts the long-held pervasive idea that poverty or self-sacrifice is somehow inherently virtuous or more pleasing to a higher power. Instead, it radically positions an abundant, rich life, not just materially, but holistically rich as the natural state, and indeed, the desire of the original substance itself. It's not just okay to desire riches. It's what the universe wants for us in its deepest essence, so it can experience more through us.
Exactly. It flips the script entirely on those old notions of piety through poverty.
Yeah.
And the concept of asking largely is absolutely vital here. What does that truly mean in this context? It implies not limiting your vision or desires based on past experiences of lack or your current circumstances or any perceived sense of unworthiness.
Right. Don't tailor your desires to what seems realistic based on the past.
Precisely. Instead, it's about aligning with the infinite potential of the creative force, recognizing that the source of all abundance is limitless and wants to express that limitlessness through you. It's about thinking without those self-imposed limitations, daring to envision the grandest possible expression of life for yourself and through yourself.
This is where that concept of invincible faith really comes in, right? Because if you truly deeply believe that your desire is one with the divine, with omnipotence itself, your faith wouldn't just be strong, it would be unshakable. It moves beyond mere self-belief into cosmic alignment.
Precisely. If you fix upon your consciousness the fact that the desire you feel for the possession of riches is one with a desire of omnipotence for more complete expression, your faith becomes invincible. This is such a profound reframe. If your desire isn't just yours, but a fragment, an echo, a localized expression of a universal, omnipotent desire for more life and more expression, how does that fundamentally change your confidence?
Right.
How does that transform your persistence in the face of challenges or delays?
Yeah.
It elevates your pursuit from a personal struggle, maybe fraught with doubt and guilt, to a divine collaboration. It makes your faith potentially unshakable because you feel aligned with the very engine of creation itself.
But let's be honest, for many of us, raised in various cultural or religious narratives, wanting too much has often been equated with greed or selfishness. We've been taught that humility often means limiting our ambitions, being content with little. How do we reconcile this deeply spiritual perspective of abundant desire with those deeply ingrained beliefs? Because that's a huge internal hurdle for a lot of people to overcome. The source isn't just suggesting modifying behavior. It argues for a fundamental shift in understanding the very source and purpose of desire itself.
It requires a conscious, sometimes difficult reprogramming of those old narratives.
Yeah.
This perspective asserts that your desire for riches, when understood correctly as a desire for fuller life, greater expression, and the capacity to give more use value, benefiting yourself and others is not selfish. It is not greedy. Instead, it is the divine seeking to express its own potential, its own beauty, its own complexity, its own joy through you as a unique vessel. It's a benevolent universe wanting to experience its own grandeur through your individual life and, in turn, through your increased capacity to contribute more fully to the greater whole. Your desire, when pure and aimed at adding to life, becomes, in this view, a sacred act.
A sacred act. That's powerful. To make this maybe still somewhat abstract idea of a universal urge for expression more concrete, let's turn to a beautiful and incredibly vivid analogy from the source that truly illustrates this point. This one really hit me with its simplicity and yet its profound depth.
It truly captures the essence, doesn't it? It provides a very relatable lens through which to view this profound concept of divine desire working through us.
Once I saw a little boy sitting at a piano and vainly trying to bring harmony out of the keys. He was grieved and provoked by his inability to play real music. I can feel the music in me, but I can't make my hands go right. The music in him was the urge of original substance, containing all the possibilities of all life. All that there is of music was seeking expression through the child.
This metaphor is just incredibly rich with depth and implication, isn't it? The little boy represents humanity eager, full of latent potential, and filled with an innate desire to create and experience beauty and harmony.
Mm-hmm.
The music he feels within him, that beautiful potential he senses but struggles to express, represents the infinite potential and the deep, abiding desire of the one substance which you can interpret as God, the universe, the source, the creative force, to experience and manifest all possibilities. His frustration isn't with the absence of music within him. The music is definitely there. His frustration is with his temporary inability to express what he already feels and knows is within him, a part of his very being. His hands, in this analogy, are merely the instrument, or our limited human capacity, our current skills, our tools through which this greater urge seeks to move and find form in the world.
So it's like God, or the universe, isn't a distant, passive observer who created once and then just stepped back to watch, but rather an active, eager participant constantly trying to engage with creation through us, through our unique talents and our deepest desires.
Exactly. That's the core idea. The source beautifully articulates this. God, the one substance, is trying to live and do and enjoy things through humanity. He is saying, I want hands to build wonderful structures, to play divine harmonies, to paint glorious pictures. I want feet to run my errands, eyes to see my beauties, tongues to tell mighty truths, and to sing marvelous songs, and so on.
Wow, that's a very active image of the divine.
It paints a vivid, dynamic picture of a universe that isn't static or indifferent, but actively seeking to experience its own boundless potential through our individual lives.
Yeah.
Through our unique actions, through our senses, our creativity, our joys, our achievements, all of our highest aspirations, our deepest callings are, in this view, expressions of this grander, universal impulse-seeking form.
This is a truly powerful and, frankly, quite expansive idea. It makes me wonder, what are the unexpressed melodies within you, the listener? What talents, what passions, what creative urges, what unfulfilled ambitions might actually be the universe seeking expression through your unique vessel, through your specific skills and perspective? Maybe it's not just a personal hobby or a random career goal. Maybe it's a divine imperative waiting for you to pick up the instrument and learn to play your music.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And this divine impulse isn't just about abstract artistic expression either, like music or painting. It extends to every single facet of human experience and appreciation, right?
It absolutely does. The scope of this divine desire is completely comprehensive and holistic. The source continues, detailing this broader desire. God wants those who can play music to have pianos and every other instrument, to cultivate their talents to the fullest extent. He wants those who can appreciate beauty to be able to surround themselves with beautiful things.
Mm-hmm.
He wants those who can discern truth to have every opportunity to travel and observe. He wants those who can appreciate dress to be beautifully clothed, and those who can appreciate good food to be luxuriously fed.
This list is fascinating because it covers such a broad spectrum of human desires, doesn't it? From the intellectual-like discerning truth, having opportunities to travel and observe, to the aesthetic-like appreciating beauty and surrounding ourselves with beautiful things.
Yes.
It touches on sensory desires like fine clothes and good food, and of course creative desires like music and painting. It really emphasizes that all of these are legitimate expressions of the divine, not just what we might traditionally categorize as spiritual desires, but the full, rich, multisensory human experience is valued.
And the reason given for this comprehensive abundance is made explicit and is profoundly revealing. He wants all these things because it is himself that enjoys and appreciates them. It was God who wants to play and sing and enjoy beauty and proclaim truth and wear fine clothes and eat good foods.
Wow. So our enjoyment is the divine enjoying through us. Our appreciation becomes the universe appreciating itself through our senses and consciousness. Our desires are not separate from the cosmic desire. They are direct expressions of it.
That's the core message, a powerful, direct statement.
It makes me think again of that biblical quote, "It is God that worketh in you to will and to do," as Paul said. Connecting that to this idea means our will, our deepest desires, and our subsequent actions are not just our own. They are, in a very real sense, divine manifestations, driven by this universal impulse for more life and more expression.
Exactly. And this leads to a powerful and incredibly liberating conclusion for anyone struggling with feeling guilty about their desires. The desire you feel for riches is the infinite, seeking to express himself in you as he sought to find expression in the little boy at the piano. So you need not hesitate to ask largely. Your part is to focalize and express the desires of God.
That is the ultimate permission slip, isn't it? To desire abundantly, to dream big, to pursue your grandest visions, reframing it entirely as a sacred act, a partnership with the creative force of the universe itself. Not selfish, but divine expression.
Sacred responsibility almost.
Yeah. I mean, if you've ever felt that deep, undeniable pull towards a certain career path or a particular hobby or a specific lifestyle that feels like your true calling, your music, could it be this divine urge manifesting within you? How does this perspective fundamentally change how you view your ambitions and aspirations? It's like maybe those big dreams aren't just personal whims or ego-driven goals, but something far more significant, a cosmic blueprint seeking form through your unique life.
It certainly offers a different lens.
This is a powerful revelation, truly. But there's still that significant hurdle many of us face. Those deeply ingrained beliefs and that cultural conditioning that tell us otherwise, that whisper constantly that our desires are wrong or selfish or unattainable.
And it's a hurdle that needs to be addressed head on with conscious awareness and deliberate effort if we want to move forward. It doesn't just disappear because we understand the concept intellectually.
Right. We've just explored this incredible idea that our desires for a rich and abundant life are actually a divine impulse, a fragment of the infinite, seeking fuller expression through us. But for many, as you say, this is a difficult concept to fully embrace, going against perhaps decades of conditioning. Why is that from the perspective we're exploring today? What are these specific limiting beliefs that hold so many people back from asking largely?
It's a truly difficult point with most people because, as the source points out very clearly, they retain something of the old idea that poverty and self-sacrifice are pleasing to God. This is a deeply ingrained cultural, religious, and even historical belief. For many, this idea that humility or spiritual purity is somehow intrinsically tied to material lack or suffering.
The virtue of poverty idea.
Exactly. They often perceive poverty not as something to be overcome, but as a part of the plan, a necessity of nature. Or they mistakenly believe, perhaps subconsciously, that God has finished his work and made all that he can make, and that the majority of men must stay poor because there is not enough to go around.
That sounds like a classic scarcity mindset again, doesn't it? Completely contradictory to the limitless and infinitely creative thinking substance we just discussed. If there's only a finite amount of good, of wealth, of opportunity to go around, then someone getting rich logically implies someone else must be staying poor or getting poorer. That directly contradicts everything we just talked about regarding the inexhaustible, intelligent, creative potential of the universe, capable of creating more for everyone.
It does. These beliefs are fundamentally rooted in that scarcity mindset. They completely negate the idea of an inexhaustible, intelligent, creative substance that responds to thought. Instead, they assume finite resources and a fixed pie that we all have to fight over. This directly clashes with the idea that the universe desires fuller life and expression through everyone, not just a select few chosen ones. It forces people onto the competitive plane rather than allowing them to access the creative plane.
And what are the deeply personal, often subconscious consequences of holding on to these limiting beliefs about poverty being okay or wealth being bad? How does it actually manifest in our daily lives and choices, often without us even realizing it?
Well, this scarcity mindset, coupled with the idea that poverty is somehow virtuous or even inevitable for most, leads directly to people feeling ashamed to ask for wealth. They literally feel guilty for wanting more.
Ashamed.
Yes. And so they often try not to want more than a very modest competence, just enough to make them fairly comfortable. It creates this self-imposed limitation, a governor on their dreams. It stifles their natural divine desires, which, as we just discussed, are actually expressions of the infinite seeking to live more fully through them. This shame and this pattern of self-limitation keep people stuck in cycles of scarcity, simply because they haven't given themselves permission to desire abundantly and align with that creative force.
Have you ever felt this shame, listener? Or consciously limited your desires out of a sense of humility, or maybe because you thought it was more spiritual, or perhaps just more practical to be modest in your ambitions? I know I certainly have at different points in my life. It feels pervasive, doesn't it? How these ideas are perpetuated through various cultural, religious, and historical narratives, almost like a default setting that we rarely stop to question. It takes real conscious effort to challenge it within ourselves.
It is indeed pervasive, and it takes conscious, sustained effort to overcome. It's a deeply ingrained pattern of thought for many societies. But the truly good news, the liberating news, is that these beliefs can be overcome. They are just beliefs, not reality. And the source provides a fantastic, very human, very relatable example of exactly how that happens, illustrating the incredible power of even small successes in expanding our vision and breaking those mental chains.
This story is such a powerful illustration of breaking free from those self-imposed limitations, isn't it? Moving from scarcity to abundance, maybe one small step at a time. Tell us about the student's journey. It feels incredibly relatable because he starts from such a common place.
It is very relatable. The story begins with a student who was given the fundamental instruction we've been discussing to get in mind a clear picture of the things he desired so that the creative thought of them might be impressed on formless substance.
Okay, the core instruction.
Yes. However, this student was a very poor man living in a rented house and having only what he earned from day to day, and he could not grasp the fact that all wealth was his. His immediate reality, his day-to-day struggle, completely overshadowed any grander possibilities in his mind. He just couldn't see beyond it.
That initial inability to grasp the fact that all wealth was his, that perfectly illustrates how our current challenging circumstances and those ingrained limiting beliefs can severely stifle imagination and desire, can't they?
Absolutely.
His desires were initially so modest, so constrained by his immediate reality and what he thought was reasonable or possible for someone in his position. It's so easy to fall into that trap of only asking for what seems immediately attainable.
Precisely. His initial desires were incredibly humble, a direct reflection of his limited worldview at that specific time. He wasn't dreaming of mansions or vast fortunes or changing the world. He simply decided that he might reasonably ask for a new rug for the floor of his best room and an anthracite coal stove to heat the house during the cold weather.
Basic comforts.
Basic comforts. Practical, immediate needs, born directly from his current lack, not from grand visions of abundance. It's a desire for a bit more comfort, for basic improvement, not for significant wealth creation yet.
But then something absolutely crucial happened. Something shifted that changed everything for him. Following the instructions given in this book, he obtained these things in a few months. That's the spark, isn't it?
That's the catalyst.
That small, tangible success, getting the rug, getting the stove, however seemingly insignificant in the grand scheme of getting rich, it validated the process for him. It began to chip away at his deeply held limiting beliefs about what was possible. It proved the principle works, even on a small scale first.
Absolutely. That initial success provided tangible, undeniable evidence. It wasn't just abstract theory anymore. It was his personal lived experience. This small triumph shifted his belief from just intellectual understanding, maybe hopeful assent, to deeply felt personal conviction. And that's when the aha moment truly dawned upon him. a moment of profound revelation.
The light bulb moment.
Yes. The text says, "And then it dawned upon him that he had not asked enough." This is the pivotal breakthrough. The mental barrier cracked open, and his perception of possibility radically expanded. It's that exhilarating moment where you suddenly realize your own self-imposed limitations were far greater than any external ones. An aha moment that many of our listeners can probably relate to in their own lives once they've achieved something they initially thought was a big stretch.
Yeah, you achieve something and think, maybe I aimed too low.
Exactly. And from that pivotal point, his vision just exploded. He was completely unbound by his previous reality. He went through the house in which he lived and planned all the improvements he would like to make in it. He mentally added a bay window here and a room there until it was complete in his mind as his ideal home, and then he planned its furnishings.
Wow, he went from a rug and a stove to redesigning the whole house in his mind.
Yes, this isn't just wishing anymore. This shows the incredible detail power of visualization and imagination as the first crucial step in creation. It wasn't just about getting an upgraded rental anymore. It became his ideal home, meticulously complete in his mind, right down to the furnishings. He created the blueprint.
And critically, he didn't just stop at the mental blueprint, did he?
No, that's key. He moved into action. He moved from simply addressing a lack, cold room, bare floor, to envisioning and holding a complete ideal. And this mental blueprint wasn't just a fantasy he entertained. It became his focused intention. The story concludes beautifully. Holding the whole picture in his mind, he began living in a certain way and moving toward what he wanted, and he owns the house now and is rebuilding it after the form of his mental image.
He owns the house now and is rebuilding it.
Yes. This is such a concrete demonstration of all the principles we've discussed coming together perfectly. A clear, detailed mental image held with focus, unwavering faith, implicitly nurtured by living in the certain way, applying the principles daily, and inspired, purposeful action, moving toward what he wanted. The transformation from a poor renter worried about a stove to a homeowner actively rebuilding his ideal home, physically manifesting his mental vision, is a powerful testament to the efficacy of these ideas when applied.
And the story doesn't even end there, which is maybe the most inspiring part. It's about continuous growth, right?
Exactly. It's not a one-and-done deal.
It says, and now, with still larger faith, he is going on to get greater things. It has been unto him according to his faith, and it is so with you and with all of us. It's a continuous, expanding growth of faith fueled by each success. Think about a time in your life, listener, when achieving a small goal, perhaps something you initially thought was a really big deal, suddenly opened your mind to much larger possibilities you hadn't even dared to consider before. This story is such a clear testament to the fact that faith doesn't necessarily need to start at an invincible level. It grows with experience. It expands with each success, proving to you, reinforcing in your own consciousness what's actually possible.
Indeed. The journey to riches, understood in this context, isn't just about acquiring external things, although that's part of it. It's profoundly about expanding your inner belief system, shattering those old inherited limitations, and understanding your own innate capacity as a co-creator with the universe. It's about realizing deeply that your internal world, your beliefs, your dominant thoughts, your mental images held with faith ultimately dictates your external reality. This student's journey is a perfect microcosm of that universal principle in action.
So, deep divers, what an expansive journey we've been on today. We've traveled all the way from rethinking simple everyday transactions, seeing them not as sharp bargains, but as profound opportunities to give more in use value than we take in cash value.
A fundamental shift.
We've explored the profound power of holding a clear mental image with unwavering faith. Understanding that our deepest desires aren't just personal whims, but potentially divine impulses, echoes of the infinite seeking fuller expression right here, through us.
Yes, reframing desire itself.
And we've realized that our richest life, lived abundantly and generously, is a direct reflection of a universal desire for more life, experienced through us, and that this potential is available to anyone who chooses to align with its creative principles and overcome those limiting beliefs.
Remember, this isn't just theory to intellectualize or, interesting philosophical exercise to debate. These are presented as living principles for you to actively apply in your own life, right now, at whatever stage you find yourself. Right. Your journey to riches, however you define that, is deeply personal, it's unique to you, and according to this source, it's profoundly supported by the very fabric of the universe itself, provided you align with its creative principles. Provided you choose consciously to move from the competitive to the creative plane and truly believe in the boundless abundance that is available to you, seeking expression through your focused desire and faithful action.
So the final thought for you today. If your deepest, most authentic desires are truly the infinite seeking expression through you, what bold vision have you maybe been holding back? What kingdom, to use the words from the source, are you ready to claim? Not just for yourself, but as a genuine contribution to the fuller life of the world around you. Consider that student's journey again. What seemingly small rug and stove in your life, what initial step could be the starting point towards an entirely new, reimagined home, career, or life? It has been unto you according to your faith, and it is so with all of us. Now, go forth, perhaps, and live largely.
Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
Today, we're not just scratching the surface. We're really going deep, plunging into some truly profound ideas about how we consciously create the life we desire. And when I say life we desire, I'm not just talking about money, though. You know, that's part of it.
Sure, it can be.
But I mean abundance in that really rich, expansive sense. You know, well-being, relationships, purpose, growth.
The whole picture.
Exactly. We're going to unpack concepts that, frankly, challenge a lot of what conventional wisdom tells us about success, about value, even about our own deepest desires, what they actually mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And our mission today really is to equip you, the listener, with some powerful vocabulary and these conceptual frameworks.
Right. Tools for thinking.
Exactly. Tools to help you maybe bridge that gap from, let's say, a purely competitive mindset, which is often the default, right?
Oh, definitely.
To a deeply creative one. We want to guide you towards understanding maybe the deeper, more universal sources of abundance, and to see how your own personal desires, those things you really yearn for, might actually be intimately connected to a larger kind of universal purpose.
That sounds big.
It is. We'll be looking at how every interaction you have, every goal you set, every belief you hold, how all that shapes your reality.
And importantly, how you can consciously participate in that.
That's the key. Consciously, intentionally participate in creating it. So get ready for hopefully some genuine aha moments.
Love those.
Yeah, things that might just reframe your entire approach to personal growth, to success, and maybe offer you a bit of a shortcut, not just to being informed, but to really understanding these transformative ideas.
All right, I'm ready. Let's dive in. Where do we start? Okay, so let's unpack this right from the beginning. There's a fundamental idea here that seems to underpin everything else we're going to talk about. These insights suggest there's this profound shift available, moving from what gets called the competitive plane to operating on a creative plane.
Right.
Now, for many people, I think competition is just, well, it's how the world works, isn't it? It's the default setting.
It certainly feels that way a lot of the time.
So what does it truly mean, you know, in practical terms? To transcend? That's a great vocabulary word right there. To transcend, to go beyond just competition in our daily lives or interactions.
What's really fascinating, I think, is the immediate clarification that this isn't about, like, avoiding all transactions.
Okay, so you don't become a hermit.
No, exactly. Or somehow being above the necessity for having any dealings with your fellow men, as the idea is sometimes put.
Right.
Far from it. It's actually about a complete reevaluation of the nature of those dealings.
The nature of them. How so?
Well, on that competitive plane, the focus is often, let's be honest, on securing the most advantageous deal for yourself, right?
Get the best price, win the negotiation.
Exactly. Which can lead to what is described as driving sharp bargains. That phrase itself is quite illustrative, isn't it?
Sharp bargains, yeah. It sounds almost aggressive.
It implies a negotiation where one party is really striving to gain a significant advantage, maybe at the other's perceived expense, or, you know, by giving the absolute bare minimum required.
Okay.
The creative plane, though, completely reframes this. It suggests you don't need to deal with them unfairly. Or, and this is crucial, You don't need to get something for nothing.
Wow. Okay, hold on. Get something for nothing. That really flies in the face of a lot of business thinking, doesn't it?
It really does.
I mean, many people are taught that shrewdness, being smart in business, means getting the best possible deal, sometimes right at the edge of what's fair.
Mm-hmm. The good deal.
So it's not about opting out, but radically altering how we engage. Refusing to get something for nothing. That's counterintuitive.
It is.
So if we're not trying to take advantage or even just break even in that competitive sense, what's this new golden rule of value? What's the principle on this creative plane?
Okay, so the core principle is genuinely revolutionary, and it might sound, well, impossible at first.
Okay, lay it on me.
The principle is, you can give to every man more than you take from him.
Give more than you take.
Yes.
Okay, wait. Pause there. My first thought, and probably many listeners' thoughts, is how? How is that even possible? If I always give more, won't I just run out of stuff, go broke?
That's the immediate logical reaction, isn't it? But the key, this material clarifies, lies in a really fundamental differentiation. It's between cash market value and something called use value.
Cash market value versus use value.
Okay, and this distinction, this is where the real wisdom lies, I think. This is where it gets practical.
Okay, now this gets really interesting because, yeah, let's be honest, you can't always give more in raw cash market value. That's just basic math in most transactions, right? Otherwise, nobody makes a profit.
Exactly. Profit requires a difference there.
If I sell you, I don't know, a really well-made cup of coffee for $5, the beans, the milk, the labor, the rent, that cash value might only be $2 or $3.
Right. The cost of goods sold, essentially.
Yeah. But the use value, okay, that's a totally different way of looking at it, isn't it?
Completely different metric.
The material uses this fantastic example of the book.
Yeah, I love that one.
The paper, ink, and other material that's the cash value might not equal the price you paid. Maybe it cost 50 cents to print.
Right.
But if the idea suggested by it bring you thousands of dollars, maybe through new insights, new business opportunities, solving a huge problem.
Or just profoundly changing your perspective, your well-being.
Right. Then you have not been wronged. The seller, in that case, provided a great use value for a small cash value.
Precisely.
This concept, use value, it feels like unlocking a secret language for understanding worth. It really resonates.
Absolutely. And the book analogy is perfect because it immediately shows that true value isn't just in the tangible stuff, the quantifiable bits.
Right. Not just the atoms.
It's in the potential, the transformation, the growth, the profound benefit that the recipient actually derives from it.
Okay, so like education. Think about higher education.
Great example.
The cash value might be huge tuition, books, living costs, massive outlay.
Absolutely. Often tens or hundreds of thousands.
But the use value, the skills you learn, the doors it opens professionally, the personal enrichment, the critical thinking, maybe even the network you build.
The expanded worldview.
That can far, far exceed the monetary cost over lifetime.
Immensely so. Or think about software. You pay maybe a monthly subscription. That's its cash value.
Yeah, $50 a month or whatever.
But if that software lets you run your entire global business, or create incredible digital art, or connect with millions, the use value is just immense, almost incalculable in comparison.
Right, or even experiences, like a trip or a concert.
Perfect. A concert ticket, maybe $100 cash value.
Sure.
But the memory, the sheer joy, the inspiration you get, the connection with the artist or the crowd, that could be priceless, offering something that lasts way longer than the evening itself, much more use value.
Okay, that really brings up a great point for you, our listener, to think about right now. Where in your life do you experience this? Where does use value clearly exceed cash value for you?
When have you felt you got so much more from something than what you paid? Not just in money, but in genuine life-enriching benefit.
It's a great question. And this whole idea is hammered home with this powerful, maybe even a bit stark analogy involving an Eskimo.
Yes, the Eskimo analogy. It's very illustrative.
It really drives home the point about the ethical side of value.
It does. It's vivid, memorable, and highlights that ethical dimension baked into genuine value creation. So the first scenario.
Right. Someone takes a valuable picture by a great artist, maybe worth thousands in, say, New York or London.
In a culturally relevant setting, yeah.
And trades it to an Eskimo for a bundle of furs worth $500.
Okay.
Now, the analysis here is crucial for understanding this philosophy. It says that this is flat out wrong.
Unequivocally wrong, but why?
Because the Eskimo has no use for the picture. It has no use value to him in his specific world, his context.
Right. It doesn't fit into his life, his culture, his survival needs, probably not even his aesthetic appreciation in the same way.
It will not add to his life. So the ethical problem isn't just the unequal cash value, although that's there too.
It's primarily the complete absence of use value for the buyer. It's a transaction that doesn't genuinely uplift the recipient in their own terms.
Wow. So it's not just about the money changing hands. It's deeply about the genuine, meaningful benefit to the other person within their reality. That's a really high standard.
It is. It requires empathy, understanding the other person's world.
Now contrast that with the second scenario. Giving the Eskimo a gun worth $50 for his furs. Much lower cash value.
$50 versus thousands for the painting.
But this is presented as a good bargain. Why? Why is this one good?
This is where the principle really clarifies itself. The gun, despite its much lower cash market value, provides immense use value to the Eskimo in his context.
How so?
He has use for the gun. It will get him many more furs and much food. It will add to his life in every way. It will make him rich.
Okay, so the gun empowers him, enhances his ability to hunt, to provide, to thrive in his environment.
Exactly. It directly contributes to his well-being, his security, his prosperity, according to his own needs and way of life. It genuinely adds to his life.
So what this teaches us then about creating true value in our own lives, our work, it's that our interactions should genuinely enrich the other person.
Yes. Provide tools, opportunities, insights that help them flourish, advance, get what they need, and value. It's about understanding their needs, not just making a sale or completing a transaction.
And this isn't just presented as like a nice idea or good business practice. This material frames it as a non-negotiable. An ethical imperative is the phrase that comes to mind.
Yes, imperative meaning absolutely necessary, crucial, it's not optional.
It states, pretty bluntly, if you are selling any man anything which does not add more to his life than the thing he gives you in exchange, you can afford to stop it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's stark.
That's not just advice. That's basically an instruction to shut down any business model that doesn't meet that standard. It's an exit strategy right there.
It absolutely is. And it directly challenges the status quo of, well, let's be honest, many businesses that operate solely on profit margins, sometimes without much regard for the broader impact.
Or the actual benefit to the customer beyond the basic function.
Right. The text doesn't pull punches. You do not have to beat anybody in business. And if you are in a business which does beat people, get out of it at once.
Get out of it at once. That's radical.
It's a radical call to reevaluate your entire livelihood through this lens of genuine contribution, of life enhancement. Are you adding value, real use value?
So it's about ensuring every transaction, every single exchange becomes a net positive for the world, actively adding to the life of the world by every business transaction.
Exactly. It moves way beyond just do no harm or even sustainability. It's about being actively regenerative, actively additive.
Wow. Okay. That is a lot to chew on. So for you, listening, how might this philosophy encourage you to fundamentally reevaluate your own work, your business, maybe even just how you buy things?
Yeah. Are you consistently striving to add more use value than you take in cash value? Or are you maybe unconsciously involved in exchanges that don't truly add to life for the other party or even for yourself?
It's a powerful, maybe even slightly uncomfortable question to sit with, but one that definitely seems to open doors to some profound changes. Okay, so moving from individual transactions, let's zoom out a bit. Let's look at the structure of entire businesses, organizations.
The bigger picture.
Conventionally, we understand that employers, well, to stay in business, to be profitable, they must take from them employees more in cash value than you pay them in wages.
Right. That's the basic economic model of employment, isn't it? Labor cost versus value generated.
That's just how the equation seems to work on paper. But this material offers a really transformative vision, one that goes way beyond just that wage for labor swap.
Exactly. The profound shift here is that while that financial equation might seem fixed on the surface, there's a deeper, much more enriching value an employer can actually provide.
Okay.
The idea is that you can so organize your business that it will be filled with the principle of advancement.
The principle of advancement. Let's really dig into that phrase. What does that mean in a practical day-to-day business context?
Well, it seems to mean creating an environment, a whole system, where each employee who wishes to do so may advance a little every day.
advance a little every day, not just like an annual review.
Right, not just waiting for the yearly promotion cycle or that incremental raise. It's about embedding daily, continuous growth in skills and understanding and personal capability into the very fabric of the work itself.
So making learning and development not just an HR function, but a core operational value.
Precisely. Fostering continuous learning as just how things are done around here.
That's a beautiful concept. Imagining a business not just as a place you go to do tasks, but as a dynamic environment for daily growth.
Yeah.
It brings us back to that powerful analogy used earlier, where the material suggests making your business do for your employees what this book is doing for you.
Providing a pathway.
Yeah, providing a path to greater understanding, greater success, greater capability. And this leads directly to that really potent ladder metaphor.
Ah, the ladder, yes. The imagery of a business as a sort of ladder by which every employee who will take the trouble may climb to riches himself. That's incredibly compelling, inspiring even.
It really paints a picture, an organization as a vehicle for individual upliftment, personal development, empowerment, not just a place to trade hours for dollars.
Exactly. Now, when we talk about riches here, using that ladder to climb to riches, it's vital we explore that. Is it just talking about financial riches? Money?
Good question. Given the whole context we've been exploring about use value and adding to life, it feels broader than that.
I think it absolutely has to be. It likely encompasses skill development, intellectual growth, expanding opportunities, maybe enhanced personal influence or leadership capacity.
Even a richer sense of purpose, maybe. Fulfillment in the work itself.
For sure. It's about cultivating a more holistic abundance. There's another good vocabulary word. Holistic, meaning considering the whole system, the whole person, not just the financial part. It's a much deeper understanding of prosperity.
Okay. And this vision, it also clearly defines a crucial balance, right? Between the employer's role and the employee's own agency, their ability to act independently.
Yes, agency is key here.
The employer provides the opportunity, builds the ladder, creates the environment.
Sets the stage.
But if the employee will not do so, climb the ladder, it's not your fault. This really emphasizes individual responsibility, doesn't it, within this potentially empowering structure?
Absolutely. It's not a handout. It's very much a hand up, a chance to climb. But you have to actually do the climbing. It implies shared ownership of that potential.
Right. So how could this vision inspire, say, both employers and employees to think differently? What could it look like in the real world?
Well, for employers, it's a shift towards seeing their business not just as a profit engine, but as a platform for human potential. Asking, how can I actually design roles, processes, a culture that inherently fosters growth? That is the ladder.
So tangible actions, maybe mentorship programs.
Definitely. Robust mentorship, providing access to continuous training, real professional development.
Clear career paths, like showing people where the ladder actually goes.
Yes. Transparent career pathways, maybe even proactively encouraging people to take on challenges just slightly beyond their current comfort zone, to stretch themselves.
Okay. And for employees, how does it change their perspective?
It fosters a profoundly proactive mindset, I think. Instead of just waiting for the annual review, it's how can I actively use this ladder? How can I advance myself today?
Taking ownership.
Exactly. Taking ownership of your growth. It encourages initiative, a real commitment to continuous learning, maybe seeking out new skills, actively joining any company training, fostering a culture where people help each other climb.
So it becomes less zero-sum, less about competing internally for scarce promotions.
And more about a collective upward movement, where success for one actually contributes to lifting the whole enterprise, the whole team, building a system that elevates everyone.
All right, now we're going to pivot. And this pivot goes even deeper, maybe into territory some might find a bit out there.
Into the metaphysics of it all.
Exactly. Metaphysics dealing with the fundamental nature of reality, beyond the purely physical. This material introduces a really core concept that riches, abundance, aren't just accumulated from existing stuff.
Not just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, so to speak.
Right, but that we can actually cause the creation of your riches from formless substance, which permeates all your environment.
Okay, formless substance. That phrase just hangs in the air, doesn't it? It immediately sparks curiosity and maybe some skepticism.
Yeah, it sounds almost mythical or philosophical. What does it actually imply?
Well, what's utterly fascinating about formless substance is its implication of this underlying unmanifested potential, the fundamental source of everything.
So not physical matter as we normally think of it.
Not yet. It's like the pure potential from which all physical matter and all experiences ultimately arise. Think of it like the universe's infinite, undifferentiated energy field, or a boundless ocean of pure possibility just waiting.
Waiting for what?
Waiting to be organized, to be given form. And the phrase permeates all your environment, permeates meaning it spreads throughout, it's everywhere, suggests it's not distant, it's right here, right now, constantly present, totally accessible.
Wow. Okay. And the material also mentions thinking substance, right? Is that the same thing?
It seems intimately connected. Thinking substance suggests this formless potential isn't just inert stuff like cosmic clay. It's intelligent, it's responsive.
Intelligent potential.
Yes. And the idea is that your focused thought, your clear mental blueprint, acts almost like a magnet or a mold, drawing from this formless or thinking substance, precisely what aligns with that clear, unwavering mental image you hold.
Okay, so it's not distant, it's immediate, it permeates everything, but it's crucial to clarify what this process isn't, right?
Yeah.
The text makes a point of this.
Absolutely. It immediately tackles a common misconception. This isn't like pulling rabbits out of hats. Things aren't going to literally take shape from the atmosphere and come into being before your eyes.
Right, no puff of smoke and suddenly there's a new car.
Exactly. It's not magic in that simplistic cartoonish sense. No sudden appearance without any intermediary steps.
So what is the actual mechanism then, if it's not magic? How does this mental blueprint translate into physical reality? What are the practical steps involved?
The mechanism described is, well, more sophisticated than just conjuring, and it absolutely requires our conscious participation. It hinges on the power of sustained mental focus and, crucially, unwavering belief. You have to hold the mental image of it with the most positive certainty that it is being made or is on its way to you.
Positive certainty,
Yeah.
not just hoping or wishing.
No, this is described as a profound, intentional act of mental creation, holding that image clearly, consistently, and then critically, after forming that clear thought, you must cultivate. And this is a really challenging part for many. The most absolute and unquestioning faith that the sewing machine, using their example, is coming.
Absolute and unquestioning faith.
Yes, never think of it or speak of it in any other way than as being sure to arrive. Claim it as already yours.
Claim it as already yours.
Whoa.
Whoa, that's a powerful instruction and a tough one.
Extremely tough.
Because for many people, myself included sometimes, that level of certainty before you see any physical evidence seems almost
Right.
impossible, or maybe even delusional.
Right. It goes against so much of our logical, evidence-first conditioning. We want proof before we believe, usually.
So what are the challenges people face in cultivating this positive, certain, and unquestioning faith? How do you even begin to develop that?
You've nailed the core challenge. The biggest hurdle is often our own ingrained skepticism, isn't it? Our conditioned need for tangible proof. And frankly, past experiences of disappointment that have taught us to doubt.
Yeah, you hope for something, it doesn't happen, you learn not to hope so hard next time.
Exactly. We're conditioned to distrust what isn't immediately visible or rationally explainable or backed by past success. So cultivating this positive certainty requires real mental discipline.
Like working a muscle.
Very much like that. Actively choosing again and again to focus on the desired outcome. Gently but firmly redirecting those intrusive thoughts of doubt, fear, scarcity whenever they pop up.
So how do you actively contribute to that? What helps build that faith muscle?
Well, practices like daily visualization can help. Creating a vivid mental movie of your desired reality, feeling the emotions associated with it.
Making it feel real internally first.
Precisely. And then things like active listening in this context could mean being really attuned to inner guidance, noticing subtle opportunities, synchronicities, things that seem to line up.
And positive affirmations, repeating statements that reinforce the belief.
That too. And focused intention means dedicating consistent mental and emotional energy to that vision, not just once a day, but repeatedly until it becomes your dominant mental habit, your default expectation.
So it's a continuous process, aligning your internal state, your energy, your belief with the desired external reality, like tuning a radio.
That's a great analogy, tuning yourself to the frequency of what you want to receive.
Okay, so once this mental blueprint is held firmly with this unquestioning faith, How does it actually manifest? The material says things are brought to you by the power of the supreme intelligence acting upon the minds of men.
Right. This suggests it's not usually direct materialization from the ether.
No magic sewing machine appearing on the table.
Probably not. Instead, this supreme intelligence, that thinking substance we talked about, starts to orchestrate circumstances. It influences people, events, opportunities in ways that might look like coincidence or serendipity from the outside.
Okay.
So if you desire that specific sewing machine, maybe a man will be brought from Texas or Japan to engage in some transaction which will result in your getting what you want.
Someone travels across the world, seemingly for their own reasons, but it ends up helping you?
Exactly. But here's the absolutely crucial part, and it ties right back to Section 1.
The use value thing.
Yes. This transaction will be as much to that man's advantage as it is to yours.
Ah, so it's not manipulation. It's not you mentally forcing someone to do something against their will or interest.
Absolutely not. It's presented as a harmonious, divinely orchestrated alignment of desires and needs. A win-win scenario on a cosmic scale where everyone involved experiences mutual benefit and advancement. It upholds that creative principle.
That's a vital link back.
Yeah.
Ensuring mutual advantage, ethical interaction. Okay. And this is possible because this thinking substance is through all in all, communicating with all, and can influence all.
Right. It's this omnipresent, intelligent potential connecting everything, like you said, a kind of universal conscious internet. It's the medium through which these influences and synchronicities can occur.
And it's not passive, this substance.
No, apparently not. It has an inherent dynamic desire for fuller life and better living, a built-in urge towards growth, expansion, expression.
A universal urge for life.
Yes. And this urge is incredibly powerful. It's the driving force behind all creation. It has caused the creation of all the sewing machines already made, and it can cause the creation of millions more.
Wow. So the potential is basically infinite.
Seemingly so. But here's the kicker, the human element. It will only cause these creations whenever men set it in motion by desire and faith and by acting in a certain way.
Ah, so it comes back to us. Our clear desires, our unwavering faith, and our actions. Those are the triggers.
They are the catalysts. We are the ones who have to set this universal power in motion, consciously and intentionally. It brings us right back to personal responsibility and conscious action within this framework.
This idea of a universal urge for life, it's really profound. It suggests our individual desires aren't just random or selfish, but maybe part of this larger cosmic impulse for growth and expression.
That's exactly the implication.
Which leads to this incredibly liberating statement. You could certainly have a sewing machine in your house, and it is just as certain that you can have any other thing or things which you want.
Provided there's a condition.
Right. Which you will use for the advancement of your own life and the lives of others. It ties back to that use value again. It's not just wanting stuff for the sake of stuff.
Exactly. It's about abundance for the purpose of greater life, greater expression, greater contribution. But within that context, the message is clear. Don't limit yourself. It directly challenges any idea of scarcity.
Yeah, it explicitly says you need not hesitate about asking largely. And it even quotes Jesus. It is your Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom.
Right. Echoing a deep spiritual truth found in many traditions, that abundance isn't just available, it's actually intended for us. It's the natural state.
Because the underlying original substance wants to live all that is possible in you and wants you to have all that you can or will use for the living of the most abundant life.
It's a beautiful reframing. Our personal desires aren't just selfish wants. They're an integral part of the universe's own desire for more complete expression playing out through us.
And when you grasp that, truly grasp that the desire you feel for the possession of riches is one with the desire of omnipotence for more complete expression, what happens then?
Your faith becomes invincible. There's that powerful word again. Omnipotence meaning all-powerful, infinite power. Invincible meaning unconquerable, unbeatable.
So connecting your personal desire to that infinite, omnipotent force makes your faith literally invincible, unshakable.
That's the idea. It provides an unshakable foundation for belief, because your desire is no longer just your small personal thing. It's aligned with the fundamental creative force of the universe.
Invincible faith. It's such a powerful phrase. It implies a certainty that just cannot be swayed by doubt or circumstances. For you, listening, how does this idea of omnipotence desiring fuller expression through you change how you see your own deep desires?
Yeah, are they just yours? Or are they echoes of something much bigger? And what would invincible faith actually feel like in practice? What would it allow you to attempt, to believe, to achieve if you truly possessed that level of unshakable certainty?
Okay, let's explore this idea even more deeply, that our personal desires are intrinsically linked to some kind of universal creative force. This material uses a really beautiful, very relatable analogy to explain this divine urge. It talks about music.
Ah, yes, the little boy at the piano. It's quite poignant.
It really is. It describes a little boy sitting at a piano and vainly trying to bring harmony out of the keys. You can just picture him, right?
Yeah,
Struggling.
absolutely. And the description of his feeling, his vexation, and feeling provoked by his inability to play real music, that's such a deeply human experience, isn't it?
Totally. Anyone who's felt that strong inner calling, that urge to create or do something, but lacks the skill or the means.
You feel that frustration, that vexation.
And the boy articulates it perfectly.
Mhm.
I can feel the music in me, but I can't make my hands go right.
It's heartbreaking almost, but the text says this isn't just a kid struggling with piano lessons, it's a metaphor for something much bigger.
Right. The music in him, it says, was the year urge of original substance, containing all the possibilities of all life. All that there is of music was seeking expression through the child.
Wow. So that feeling inside him wasn't just his feeling, it was the universe's music wanting to be played.
That's the idea. Let's look at those words again. Vexation. It's not just mild annoyance, is it? It suggests a deeper, ongoing frustration from potential that's blocked.
Yeah, a kind of inner chafing.
Yeah.
And provoked, like being stirred up, agitated by this inability to manifest what feels so real inside.
And urge, that word, implies a really powerful, innate drive, almost an irresistible impulse demanding to be expressed.
So this analogy, while it's about music, it really explains that fundamental creative drive we all feel, doesn't it? In whatever area it shows up for us.
Yeah, whether it's the urge to paint or solve a scientific problem or start a business or build a community or even just, bake the perfect loaf of bread.
Or raise a family, master a craft.
Because that unmistakable feeling, there's something more in me that wants to come out, more that wants to be expressed. It's a universal yearning for more life, really.
Precisely. It's a universal phenomenon, goes beyond any specific skill or domain. And this leads to the really profound statement that God, the one substance, is trying to live and do and enjoy things through humanity.
Okay, that's a different way of thinking about God or the divine. Not as some passive observer up there.
No, not distant or detached, but as an active, desiring, expressive force that is constantly seeking to manifest and experience life through us, through our unique abilities, our senses, our actions.
So we're like the hands and eyes and voices of this universal substance.
In a way, yes. We are the avenues through which it experiences the specific. It suggests we are active participants in this cosmic expression, not just puppets or observers.
And the material gets really specific about how this plays out. It lists these multifaceted desires attributed to God for humanity. It says things like, I want hands to build wonderful structures.
To play divine harmonies, to paint glorious pictures.
I want feet to run my errands, eyes to see my beauties, tongues to tell mighty truths, and to sing marvelous songs. And it goes on.
It's almost like a divine job description for humanity.
Yeah, a blueprint for how we can embody and express this creative principle.
And notice the rich language used there. Divine harmonies, glorious pictures, mighty truths, marvelous songs. These words really elevate our understanding of human potential, don't they?
They absolutely do. It suggests our highest aspirations, our most creative acts, our deepest insights, our appreciation of beauty. They aren't just personal preferences or individual talents.
They are, in fact, echoes, or maybe even direct expressions, of this universal creative energy flowing through us. It underscores that all that there is of possibility is seeking expression through men.
All possibility. That means every talent, every potential good thing, every innovation, it's all seeking an outlet, seeking to manifest through people.
That's the implication. We are the channels, we are the agents through whom this boundless creative force becomes concrete and experienced.
And this divine urge, this force, doesn't just want us to feel these desires. The text says it actively wants to equip us to express them fully.
Ah, yes. This brings the abundance principle right back into focus, connecting the inner desire with the outer means.
Which is incredibly empowering, if you think about it.
Totally. So the material lists these specific desires attributed to God that relate directly to this equipping. For instance,
God wants those who can play music to have pianos and every other instrument. and to have the means to cultivate their talents to the fullest extent.
And for those who appreciate beauty, he wants to be able to surround themselves with beautiful things.
For those who discern truth, another great vocabulary pair, discern truth, meaning to perceive or recognize truth clearly. He wants every opportunity to travel and observe, to deepen their understanding.
For those who appreciate fine dress, he wants to be beautifully clothed. And for those who appreciate good food, he wants to be luxuriously fed.
Now, some might hear that and think, wow, that sounds really extravagant, maybe even materialistic.
It could sound that way on the surface, but the reason given for this divine desire is what shifts the whole perspective. It's profound.
What's the reason?
It states, he wants all these things because it is himself that enjoys and appreciates them. It is God who wants to play and sing and enjoy beauty and proclaim truth and wear fine clothes and eat good food.
Whoa, okay. So our deepest, most authentic desires for a rich, full, expressive life. They aren't just selfish. They aren't even just human.
According to this view, they are essentially divine impulses seeking tangible expression and experience through our lives. God experiencing God's own creation through us.
That completely reframes desire. It's not something to be ashamed of or suppress, necessarily.
Not if it aligns with that principle of adding to life a fuller expression. And this idea is reinforced by quoting the Apostle Paul. It is God that worketh in you to will and to do.
So our inner will, our intentions, our deepest authentic longings, and the actions that follow, they are directly connected to, maybe even initiated by, this universal creative force.
That's the connection being made. And the core message comes back powerfully to our individual experience. The desire you feel for riches in that broad, holistic sense is the infinite, seeking to express himself in you as he sought to find expression in the little boy at the piano.
Your desire isn't just your personal preference. It's a cosmic imperative knocking on your door.
A beautiful way to put it.
So if that's truly the case, then we really need not hesitate to ask largely. We shouldn't play small or limit our vision.
The mandate is to think big, to expand beyond perceived limitations.
Our part, then, is to focalize and express the desires of God. Okay, focalize. What does that mean here?
Focalize means to concentrate, to bring into sharp focus, to give clear definition and attention to something. So our job is to clearly identify and then actively express that universal urge as it arises within us.
To tune into it and give it form.
Exactly. So for you, listening, how does this perspective fundamentally change how you view your own talents, your innate desires, your biggest ambitions?
If seemingly impossible possibilities might open up, if you start seeing your deepest, most positive urges, not as isolated personal wants or even selfish needs, but as part of this vast, universal creative force seeking expression through you.
It's a complete paradigm shift, potentially, from feeling small and separate to feeling connected to and expressive of something infinite.
Okay, we have covered some incredibly expansive and potentially, paradigm-shifting ideas today. Huge concepts.
Definitely mind-stretching stuff.
But the material itself acknowledges, quite openly, that this core concept, this idea of a universal benevolent force that actually desires our abundance and full expression, is a difficult point with most people.
Yeah, it flags that up specifically.
And I can totally see why. It bumps up against so much of what many of us have been taught, maybe through culture, religion, even just societal norms. It can be a real sticking point.
It absolutely challenges some very deeply ingrained beliefs. That prevailing old idea that poverty and self-sacrifice are pleasing to God, for example, that's embedded in many cultures and traditions.
Right. The idea that piety equals austerity or that wanting wealth is somehow unspiritual.
Exactly. And that's often coupled with what the text calls the erroneous thought. Erroneous meaning mistaken, incorrect, that God has finished his work and made all that he can make.
Like the universe is a fixed pie.
Precisely. And that the majority of men must stay poor because there is not enough to go around. This frames poverty not as, say, a result of systems or choices,
But as a necessity of nature, an unchangeable fact, almost like it's preordained, part of the plan.
which is a profound misconception, according to this philosophy, about the very nature of creation, which it sees as infinite and ongoing, and abundance, which it sees as limitless potential.
And the psychological impact of believing that scarcity is fundamental. It's huge, isn't it? It directly explains why people might feel ashamed to ask for wealth.
Or why they Try not to want more than a very modest competence, just enough to make them fairly comfortable.
Modest competence. That phrase really captures it. It's like the acceptable, safe ceiling for our aspirations. We put ourselves in this little mental box, maybe out of perceived humility or even fear of angering some austere divine force if we ask for too much.
And that modest competence becomes the internal resistance. It's the mental barrier that directly prevents the full expression of that divine urge, that omnipotence wanting to express through us that we just talked about.
So overcoming that requires more than just intellectually agreeing with these ideas. You need something more, maybe proof.
Often, yes. Experiential proof can be crucial for shifting those deep beliefs. And this material provides a wonderful, really tangible illustration of this, the story of a student.
Ah, yes. I love this story because it makes these huge abstract concepts feel really grounded and relatable.
It shows the process in action.
It starts with a very poor man living in a rented house and having only what he earned from day to day. And crucially, he could not grasp the fact that all wealth was his. He just couldn't get his head around it.
The idea was too big, too far removed from his daily reality. He was told he must get in mind a clear picture of the things he desired, but his faith, or maybe just his ability to even imagine, was severely limited by his circumstances.
He couldn't picture abundance because all he saw was lack.
Pretty much. So his first step, his initial mental request, was really humble. It reflected that modest competence mindset perfectly.
What did he ask for?
After a lot of thought, struggling with it, he decided he could reasonably ask for a new rug for the floor of his best room and an anthracite coal stove to heat the house during the cold weather.
Okay, so basic comfort items.
Yeah.
Practical, immediate needs, not a mansion or a fortune.
Exactly. It demonstrates that starting point for so many of us, limited by what we think is logically possible or what we feel we deserve, rather than what might truly be available according to this creative principle.
Then what happened next? This is the crucial part.
Following the instructions given in this material, he obtained these things in a few months. He got the rug and the stove.
Okay. It worked on that small scale.
Yes. And then it dawned upon him that he had not asked enough.
Ah, the light bulb moment, the validation and realization.
That's the critical turning point. The abstract theory became his lived experience. That small success proved the principle to him in a way no amount of reading could have.
And his faith started to expand, naturally, because he'd seen it work. He realized, wow, this system is real and I've been aiming way too low.
Exactly. That small, tangible success broke through years of ingrained skepticism and limitation. It opened his mind to much bigger possibilities.
So what did he do then? Did he ask for a slightly bigger rug?
He went way beyond that. His vision expanded dramatically. He went through the house in which he lived and planned all the improvements he would like to make in it.
Okay, visualizing now.
He mentally added a bay window here and a room there until it was complete in his mind as his ideal home, and then he planned its furnishings. He built a really detailed mental blueprint, moving beyond just basic comfort to envisioning his truly ideal living space.
He started to really understand and use the power of his focused mental imagery.
Yes, but, and this is really important, it wasn't just passive daydreaming. The material emphasizes holding the whole picture in his mind. He began living in the certain way and moving toward what he wanted.
Okay, the certain way. That phrase keeps popping up. It seems absolutely central to making this work. We touch on it, but let's try to nail it down. Based on everything we've discussed, what does living in the certain way actually entail?
Oh,
What are its core components?
that's an excellent question because it's the bridge between the mental and the physical. While the text doesn't give like a 5-step checklist.
Right, it's more of a philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. But the whole philosophy implies what the certain way involves. I think we can distill a few critical interconnected elements from our discussion today.
Okay, what are they?
First, definitely that unwavering faith we talked about. Not just hoping, but that absolute deep certainty that your mental blueprint is real, it's happening, it's on its way. Total conviction.
Okay, faith first.
Second, gratitude, actively appreciating what you already have right now and maintaining a deep sense of gratitude for what's coming as if it's already here. This lifts your emotional state, aligns you with receiving.
Faith and gratitude. What else?
Third, ethical action and mutual benefit. This is crucial. Always operating from that creative plane, not the competitive one. Making sure every interaction, every transaction adds more use value than you take, contributes positively to the life of others. Acting with integrity, being a force for good.
Back to section 1, give more than you take.
Always. And fourth, I'd say inspired action. Being open to recognizing and acting upon the opportunities, the ideas, the intuitions, the connections with people that the supreme intelligence seems to orchestrate.
So it's not just sitting and visualizing. You have to act, but it's not forced, desperate action.
No, it's described more as responsive, aligned action, doing the right things at the right time, efficiently and effectively as opportunities present themselves. It's a holistic practice. Your internal state, thoughts, faith, gratitude, is perfectly aligned with your external actions, integrity in thought, feeling, and deed.
That's a really helpful breakdown. Faith, gratitude, ethical action, inspired action. That's the certain way.
That seems to be the essence of it.
And the outcome for the man in the story. Did he get his ideal home?
The text says he owns the house now and is rebuilding it after the form of his mental image.
Wow. So it manifested, maybe not instantly, but the formless substance working through people and circumstances created the opportunity for his mental blueprint to become real.
Exactly. It unfolded over time through aligned action, and crucially, it wasn't a one-off. The process is ongoing. It says, and now, with still larger faith, he is going on to get greater things.
Continuous growth. His faith wasn't static. It grew with the experience, with the success. It built momentum, like the muscle getting stronger.
It's a really inspiring journey, isn't it? From that deeply ingrained, limited belief system to this expansive, creative manifestation, step by step.
And the final affirmation of the story is so powerful. It has been unto him according to his faith, and it is so with you and with all of us.
The universal principle. It works the same for everyone, based on their faith and their alignment with this certain way.
So, for you listening, maybe take a moment for some honest reflection. What's your current modest competence? Where have you set your own ceiling, perhaps unconsciously?
And what's the next, maybe slightly larger thing you could confidently ask for? Something you could truly believe in, hold in your mind with certainty, and begin acting towards, even if it feels a little stretchy, a bit outside the current comfort zone.
How can you start, maybe today, to consciously cultivate still larger faith in your own life? Moving from those potentially small, provable steps, like the rug and the stove, towards ever-expanding possibilities for abundance, expression, and contribution. Hashtag outro. Wow. We have journeyed through some truly transformative and I think quite challenging ideas today on the Deep Dive.
We really covered some ground, deep ground.
We started by, well, fundamentally challenging how we even perceive value in business. Urging that shift from the competitive plane to a creative economy, built on giving more use value than we take in cash market value.
A huge shift right there.
Then we explored how entire businesses could become these ladders of advancement, fostering holistic growth for everyone involved, way beyond just a paycheck.
Moving from transaction to transformation within organizations.
And then we really ventured into the deep end, didn't we? The metaphysics of manifestation. Learning how our focused desires might actually call forth creation from formless substance, through cultivating unquestioning faith and consistently living in the certain way.
Yeah, connecting mind and matter through belief and action.
And finally, we looked at this incredibly profound idea that our deepest, most authentic desires aren't just personal whims, but potentially echoes of a divine urge, an omnipotence seeking more complete expression through us.
Empowering us to ask largely and consciously work to overcome those limiting beliefs about scarcity or unworthiness that hold so many back.
It really is a comprehensive and deeply empowering framework, a different way to understand personal growth, success, and frankly, our place in the universe as active co-creators.
Absolutely. And the vocabulary we've woven through this discussion today, words like transcend, imperative, holistic, agency, metaphysics, permeates, omnipotence, invincible, vexation, provoked, urge, discern, vocalize, erroneous competence. These aren't just abstract terms.
No, they're handles, tools.
Exactly. Conceptual anchors to help you grasp, internalize, and actually apply these powerful ideas in your own life. They give you the language to think about these things more clearly.
Indeed. These ideas really challenge us to rethink, well, almost everything. So let me leave you, our listener, with a final provocative thought to mull over. If your every sincere desire, the ones aligned with growth and adding value, is truly an aspect of the infinite seeking fuller expression through you, then what seemingly impossible dream might you have been too timid to even ask for, or too quick to dismiss as unrealistic?
What have you ruled out?
And what first step in the certain way, maybe an act of faith, a moment of gratitude, an ethical choice, an inspired action, could you begin to take, perhaps even today, to start moving towards bringing that bigger dream into being?
And to really help integrate these powerful concepts, maybe take just a moment after this to reflect. Pick one advanced vocabulary word or one philosophical concept from today's deep dive that really resonated with you.
Just one that stood out.
Yeah, maybe it was that crucial distinction between cash market value and use value, or the nature of formless substance. Perhaps the meaning of invincible faith struck a chord, or the practical idea of the principle of advancement in your work.
Whatever it was.
How might you consciously integrate that specific understanding into your daily thoughts, your conversations, your actions this week? How can you move it from just being an interesting idea you heard to becoming part of your embodied wisdom, your practical approach to life?
That's the real work, isn't it? Taking it off the page, out of the podcast, and into your life.
That's where the transformation happens.
Thank you so much for diving deep with us today. It's been a fascinating exploration.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep consciously creating your most abundant and expressive life.